All right, stream should be starting up right about now. What's going on, guys? Happy to be here and be talking some Monday Night Football. We got Rams, we got Bucs. It should be a pretty good game to watch. Now, for DFS purposes, it might get a bit tricky, obviously, because we have the Rams with 3 running backs. We have the Bucs with 3 wide receivers. It's kind of going to be a little tricky to nail down where the production's coming from, but I'll do my best to kind of go over everything. And if you guys are new to the stream, new to the channel, how these live streams works are I will take a look at the Vegas odds. We'll review the snap counts from these teams for their most recent game, and then kind of give a player-by-player breakdown. We'll talk hash games, we'll talk GPPs, and then we can get to questions at the end. So let's just jump right into it. And let's take a look at the Vegas odds. So currently right now, 48 over under. Yeah, nothing big has changed. It was either 48 or 48 and a half when I made the video. Both defenses are solid with the Rams and the Bucs. We have the Bucs currently 4.5-point favorites. So let's take a look at these snap counts and see what these teams did last game. So last game, and this is kind of the headache, at least for the Rams. Three-headed monster here. Malcolm Brown played the most at 41% last week. Henderson played 33%. Cam Akers played 26%. Yeah, kind of just hurts everyone's production when all three are going to be pretty evenly split. So that's a tricky one. As far as a wide receiver, it's a little more clear cut. Now Cooper Kupp did only play 53% of snaps the last game. Not overly concerned about that. He was a little bit banged up. Normally he's the guy that's going to play the majority of the game, like 90% of the snaps. Could have been, game flow too. They were playing from ahead. But, yeah, we know the Rams are going to run 3 wide receivers a lot with Woods, Kupp, and Reynolds. I expect, all three to probably get at least above 70% of the snaps. Van Jefferson, the number 4, the rookie, will play here and there. He played 19% of the snaps last game. Can he throw him in the player pool? Yeah, but it's a pretty risky play. Tight ends for the Rams, well, they're going to use 2 tight ends. Higbee played 84% of the snaps last game. Everett played 61% of the snaps. Then Munt, their third string tight end, played 20%. I think both Higbee and Everett are viable here. Higbee is a little bit more expensive, so personally, I like the discount a little bit better in Everett. But both are decent pass-catching tight ends, and both are viable value plays on this slate. Running backs for the Bucs, so they're kind of going to go with the hot hand. Ronald Jones played 59% of the snaps last game. Fournette, 36%. LaShawn McCoy got a couple snaps, but if you look back at the previous weeks, I kind of went over this in the video. Fournette was they rode with Fournette the previous 2 games, so tough one here. We have Jones a lot more expensive, and he's not getting a ton of volume in the passing game, so I think you can feel a little bit more comfortable with Fournette for the $4,000 discount, and the fact that Fournette is going to be the 3rd down back. He's been their pass-catching back this season, so not saying Jones is out of play again. We'll talk about that more with the player-by-player breakdown. Wide receivers for the Bucs, Godwin and Evans, they will play a majority of the game. Antonio Brown, I expect about half the game, 50 to 60% of these snaps. But all three very, very talented receivers. As far as taking a dart throw on a number 4 receiver with Scotty Miller, Johnson, or Watson, I'm not really looking to it. If you land on one of those guys, if you're mass multi-entering, making 150 lineups, I think that's okay. But it's hard to feel comfortable with one of those guys unless, there's an injury or something. So pretty clear cut there for the wide receivers, the Bucs. Tight ends, Gronkowski, he will play a majority of the game. He played 81% of the snaps. Austin Ekeler actually played 31% of the snaps, but he's not going to be involved really in the passing game. And Cameron Brate, the backup tight end, played 36% of snaps. He had, I think, 3 catches and a touchdown last game. He's shown over the years he's a decent pass-catching tight end. So, yeah, I think you can look to him for value. There's not a lot of, amazing value on the slate. Normally there's, maybe 1 or 2 guys, below 1,000 we can look to. There's not really on this slate. You have Brate's a viable value play. I think Joe Everett looks pretting good. And the guy like Cam Akers, we're talking really, really cheap guys. And then just the kickers. That's about it. So, all right, let's talk about, let's start at the top here with Tom Brady at 11K. He's going to be very, very popular. He actually has been a little up and down. If you look at the last couple of games against the Saints, 5 fantasy points. Last game against Carolina, came out angry, played up 34 fantasy points. This is a tougher spot for Brady and the Bucs offense. But he's someone that I think you go to in cash games. Again, because he's going to be very popular. I think you could make the argument to fade in GPPs. But yeah, it's Brady for cash games for me for sure. He's been throwing the ball a ton. Last 4 games, 45, 40, 38, and 39 pass attempts for Tom Brady. Jared Goff's at 9.8, so getting a little bit of a discount off him from Brady. I think I like the matchup a little bit better for Goff on this side. Again, both defenses are pretty stout. The upside is definitely higher on Brady, but again, you get the $1,200 difference. So is that worth it? I think Goff is a decent play here. He's had some upside games this season, 31 and 28, and with there being 3 running backs for the Rams that play, it's kind of hard to trust them. So maybe the ownership will go a little bit higher on Goff and some of these wide receivers. But like Brady, I think he's probably one of the safest plays of the slate and someone you probably should get to in a cash game setting, Goff and Brady. Let's see, wide receivers. So we got Cooper Kupp at 9.2K. Again, he did only play about 50% of snaps at last game. I'm not overly concerned about it. I think just because he's a little bit banged up and the fact that they were playing from ahead. He's a guy that most of the time will play a majority of the game. And, you're going to have to make a tough call here with a lot of tough decisions with the wide receivers in the slate. Really, like Kupp and Woods are very, very similar plays. When they're almost identical prices, I will go Kupp. But you have $1,000 difference. I think it's almost a coin flip there. And then we'll talk about the Tampa Bay wide receivers too. Like all 3 priced pretty similar. Again, you're going to have to make some tough calls. With Woods at 8.2 and Kupp at 9.2, it's tough. I think Woods might be slightly more popular for the discount, but I think I still will give the edge to Kupp. But yeah, it's not a super strong take. And then the wide receivers for the Bucs, we have Mike Evans, Godwin, and Antonio Brown, all priced around the same, right? We have Mike Evans at 9K, Godwin 8.4, Antonio Brown 7.8K. And Antonio Brown will play the least of these 3 guys, but he still had 7 catches and 8 targets. He still possesses some upside. I think I would probably feel a little bit more comfortable though with Godwin and Evans, just because they will play more. Godwin's been pretty safe out of the slot, 7, 9, 6, and 6 targets. He's a guy that's been dealing with some injuries this year. Mike Evans, he had a pretty solid week last week, 6 catches, 11 targets. So yeah, all 3 Buccaneers receivers are in play. Who's my favorite of the bunch? I guess it's Godwin, but that's not a super strong take. I think all 3 are very similar plays, and you're going to have to make tough calls with the wide receivers in the slate. Let's see. So talked about the receivers. Let's talk about Ronald Jones. He's at 8.8K. He had the big game last week. Again, had almost 200 yards on the ground. It's a tough one because he was basically phased out of the game against the Giants and the Saints a couple weeks ago, and then last week they rode with him. I think they kind of will go with the hot hand, but they were playing from ahead there against the Panthers. So if you think the Bucs are going to be playing from a lead, I think Jones becomes more viable. If you think the Bucs are playing from behind, you're probably going to want to go Fournette, and you're getting like the 4K discount on Fournette over Jones. So I personally just feel a little bit more comfortable with that. Not saying Jones is out of play by any stretch, and I think the running backs will be contrarian in the slate. And the last couple of slates, the winning lineup has been contrarian, right? The Minnesota game last week, it was Dalvin Cook that was the chalk. Well, the lineup that won it had Cousins and both receivers. Last show on slate, it was Cardinals and Seahawks. Everyone went with the quarterbacks and the wide receivers. Well, it was 3 running backs in the winning lineup. So, that's one way to differentiate yourself is to consider or maybe throw a couple running backs in your lineup, right? I don't think a ton of people will do it. It's hard to feel really comfortable about any of the running backs. But there's definitely a way where you could see a couple running backs in the winning lineup. Let's see. Let me refresh this really quick. I just want to make sure we are still good in the live stream because the comments stopped coming in. Okay, still good. Again, I'll get to questions here in a sec, guys. All right, back to, let's see, who are we on? We talked about the 3 wide receivers for the Bucs. We talked about Ronald Jones. Now we get to more, I think, contrarian plays or guys I think go a little bit overlooked. With Josh Reynolds at 6'8", if he was a guy like 4 to 5K, I would really like him. 6.8 feels about right. Now, he has been getting a lot more involved in recent games with 8, 9, and 10 targets. So I think Reynolds does make for a decent play. He still will be out there a good amount of the game. I think the upside is probably still a little higher with Kupp and Woods, but not saying Reynolds is out of play. And with the price point at 6'8", I just think he kind of goes overlooked. And I think the same thing about Gronkowski at 6'2". I think everyone's going to kind of converge on the quarterbacks and the wide receivers in the slate. So Gronkowski, he's just at a tricky price range in the mid-range. The mid-range usually does go forgotten about on these showdown slates. 6.2K, I think, is a fair price. He's a guy that can look to in the red zone, 3 touchdowns in the last 4 games. I think he's a fine option. Again, I think he does go a little bit overlooked, both Reynolds and Gronkowski. Let's see. Now we're getting to the running backs for the Rams. Henderson's at 5'8", Malcolm Brown's at 5'4", and Cam Akers is at 2'8". Well, if we look at the most recent game there, Malcolm Brown played 41%, Henderson played 33%, Cam Akers played 26%. And it's kind of hard to trust what McVay's going to do. How would I rank these guys? I think it's just a price point thing for me, so I'd probably rank it. Honestly, Cam Akers 1, Malcolm Brown 2, and Henderson 3. If it's going to be like a pretty even split, I'll just take the cheapest of the bunch. And the reason I go Akers, then Brown, then Henderson is because Brown's the guy that has shown he's probably their pass-touching, their third down running back. So, yeah, now I'm not saying Henderson's out of play. He can definitely still get you there. But looking at the most recent games, 8 carries, 7 carries, 1 target, it's not like amazing for a guy in this price range. But if he gets in the end zone, there's a good chance he's going to get you there. So, yeah, Rams running backs, it's kind of hard. Again, I would probably rank those just in the order of the cheapest, the most expensive. I would say Cam Akers 1, then Malcolm Brown 2, then Henderson 3. But we saw, I don't know if you guys remember, I forget what showdown slate it was, but the Rams were on these showdowns. Maybe it was against the Bears. And McVay said, that Cam Akers was going to get a lot more involved, and then they played him 0. He did not play at all. So, is there still an outside chance maybe they don't even use Akers? I would not be overly surprised because it's McVay. But yeah, it's just a price point thing with those backs for the Rams. So I would say again, Akers 1, Brown 2, Henderson 3. As far as tight ends go for the Rams, we have Higbee at 4.8 and Gerald Everett at 2.6. Both have shown they're good pass catching tight ends. Last week, Higbee had 3 catches and 6 targets. The week before, 2 catches and 4 targets. If you look at Everett, 3 catches, 2 catches and 3 targets last week, but the previous week, 5 catches and 9 targets. So, I expect pretty similar workload for these guys. Maybe Higbee plays a little bit more, but you do have, the $2,200 difference. So for me, I would just take the cheaper one in Everett. I think I slightly prefer him to Higbee, but not saying Higbee's out of play. I think just more of a contrarian option for his price. Now, Fournette at 4.4, he's one of my favorite value plays. I know he didn't do a ton last week, but they were playing from ahead, most of that game, so they didn't really need him a ton. In games they've fallen behind or been close, they've utilized him a lot more. It's just a price point thing again with him. So, yeah, I slightly do prefer him to Ronald Jones. I know Ronald Jones is the more talented back, but it's just the fact of, will they continue to give Ronald Jones the work is just more in question. And if Jones struggles, if he fumbles early, we've seen, I think he fumbled early against the Giants, and they just went with Fournette. So, yeah, there's risk involved with both these running backs, but again, it's just a price point thing there with Fournette for me. Both kickers viable here with Suckup and Gay here. 4K and 3.6K are fair enough prices. There's not a ton of value on the slate, so if you want to go to the value in the kickers, I think that's fine. They're probably safer value options. Upside for kickers usually about 15 they can hit. Defenses with the Bucs and the Rams. Bucs are at 3.8, Rams are at 3K. You can throw them in the player pool, right? They're cheap enough where they're not out of play. We've seen some showdown states where the defenses have been like above 7K, which is just crazy. For single entry, I'm probably not going to go there. But again, both defenses are good, so I would not talk you off a defense if you want to go to one of those defenses. A couple other plays to mention here. Again, we already talked about Cam Akers, Gerald Everett. We talked about Cam Brate is probably the last guy I would consider for single entry. If you're talking value, like below this, it's hard for me to go to anyone with confidence. Yeah, Brate is a guy that probably gets 30 to 40% of the snaps. He's not really doesn't have slate breaking upside, but if you need someone super cheap, I don't hate it. Right, he did have 3 catches, 3 targets, and a touchdown last week, so you can throw Brate in there for value. But yeah, below that, it's hard to trust anyone. Like Scotty Miller, basically got phased out last game. If you go to the Buccaneers, go to Scotty Miller, played 11% of the snaps. Tyler Johnson 9%, Watson 5%. So Can these guys, score a long touchdown on a few snaps? Yeah, but it's not something I can go to with confidence here for single entry. Again, Johnson, Miller, Watson. Can't really look to those guys. Van Jefferson at $600. I mean, if you're going to make me pick one of these super, super cheap guys, I guess it would be Van Jefferson just because he played the most out of anyone in this range, right? He played, like 20% of the snaps that last game. And, if maybe they continue to limit Kupp a bit, he'll play a little bit more. But, yeah, you're not going to feel great about that. And, yeah, McCoy played a couple snaps, but you can't really go there, obviously. Muntz, the third-string tight end, he did have a few catches in that game when Higbee was out. But with Higbee in, don't really expect him to be utilized a ton here. And, yeah, that's it. That's it for the player-by-player breakdown. So, really, again, there's not a lot of great value on the slate, right? You have, you can look to Brate, you can look to Everett, you can look to Akers and those Rams running backs, and then you can look to the kickers and Fournette. So that's the extent that I would go to if you're building one lineup. And now let's talk about the optimal lineup, maybe for cash games, right? So if we're just taking the highest floor for cash, I think you want to go both quarterbacks, and probably one of the quarterbacks in captain. So who probably has more upside of these quarterbacks? I would say Brady. So if you're playing a cash game setting, you probably do something like that with Brady and then Goff. With the running backs, again, it's hard to really trust anyone with Jones and Fournette, and then you have the three-headed monster in the Rams. So how I would go about it, I would probably do both quarterbacks and then one of the top receivers in a cash game setting, then kind of go from there, right? We've talked about some value plays. I kind of like Fournette at his price, Gerald Everett, and you can look to Brate. You can look to the kickers. That's how I would go about building a cash game lineup. GPPs, we know we want to shoot for upside, and we know about 75% of the time the winning lineup has either a wide receiver or a running back in the captain spot. So, guys that I'm considering, well, again, this is a slate. It's tricky because there's no real standout. Like is Kupp going to really stand out as a amazing play over Woods? Not really, right? So tough call there, and then you have a tough decision with the three wide receivers for Tampa Bay. As far as a running back, who would I consider any running back in the captain? I think I would. I think it would only be the Tampa Bay guys, just because, again, Jones has flash upside, and then Fournette is at a cheap enough price where, with his PPR ability, I think you could give a look to him in the captain. So that's probably the extent I would go with, would be, maybe if you want to get a little bit risky, take a shot on one of the Tampa Bay running backs, and then probably just the main wide receivers here is where I would look to for GPP format. So that about wraps up for me and what I got for you guys. So let's get to some questions real quick. I'll ask if you enjoy the content, guys, to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Trying to close in on 6K subs. Again, NBA coming up in a few weeks. Super, super excited about that, guys. Preseason content, I'll have that up as well. So, all right, let's get to some questions here. Let's see, what are some contrarian plays? Contrarian plays, I would say, are probably the running backs on the slate, just because there's no clear-cut workhorse back. And I just think, there's a lot of talent at the wide receiver. And, most people do like getting both quarterbacks in their lineup. So I think the popular build is to play both quarterbacks and one of the top receivers. So I think that the running backs go a little bit overlooked. So I would say the running backs, and then probably a guy like Gronk and Reynolds are guys I think go a little bit lower owned. Running backs, Vulture, TD say, what's going to happen. You think both quarterbacks have average games? I would not be surprised about that. Both defenses are pretty solid. Thoughts on my lineup? Let's see. Brady and the captain, Godwin, Gronk, Goff, Reynolds, and Malcolm Brown. Cheers, DK. I don't have an issue with that. Again, Brady is probably the guy that has the highest floor. Pairing him with Godwin and Gronk, running back with Goff, Reynolds, and you're taking a shot at Malcolm Brown. Yeah, that's perfectly fine with me. Favorite captain? For me, it's Kupp or Chris Godwin are the two top receivers, but again, that's not like a strong take. I'm not super confident in Kupp over Woods. I'm not super confident in Godwin over Evans and Antonio Brown. It's just the way that I'm going. Who do you think Jalen Ramsey draws, DK? I would say one of the outside guys, so either Mike Evans or Antonio Brown. If it's a close game, do you feel like Brown or Fournette in cash? I think I would still go Fournette there just because less competition for him, right? It's only Ronald Jones, where Brown you have Akers and Henderson. So I would feel a little bit more comfortable with Fournette in cash. Also, do you like suck up one compared to the other guys in the 4 to 5K range with the tight ends and the running backs? If we're talking about for safety, yeah, I agree. I think it is probably Fournette and then one of the kickers for value. So that's probably where I go to for safety for a cash game setting. Let's see. Most money you've ever won in DK, about 5K a couple of years ago, on one slate, that is. Higbee or Woods in the flex? Higbee or Woods in the flex? Well, if price doesn't matter, I'd feel more comfortable with Woods if you can get to him. Is it okay to play Ronald Jones with Tom Brady? Yeah. We've seen, right? Contrarian builds have been winning the showdown slates the last couple of times. We saw last slate, it was 3 running backs, and, one of the quarterbacks was in there. So, yeah, of course you can play Ronald Jones with Tom Brady. How does this look, DK? Captain, Godwin, utility, Brady, Woods, AB, Brown, and Fournette. I like that a decent amount. Godwin, captain, that's where I'm going. I'm playing Godwin, the captain, but, yeah, he doesn't really stand out way more than Evans and Antonio Brown. It's just, again, you got to make a tough decision if you're making one lineup. If I was making 150 lineups, I would have pretty even exposure to all the top receivers. But with only one lineup, you got to make some tough calls. How does this look? GPP, Captain, Kupp, Brady, Goff, Godwin, Fournette, and Everett. I like that a good amount. That is, that's almost identical to what I have. Winning lineup faded both quarterbacks last night. Did it fade both? I thought Derek Carr was in the winning lineup. I'm pretty sure he was. Was he not? Let's see. Yeah, because Derek Carr had a pretty good game for his price. Oh, no, he didn't. Wow, you're right. Tyreek Hill, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Kelsey, Waller, Aguilar, and Le'Veon Bell. That's another one where, hey, contrarian build, faded both quarterbacks. Is that possible to be a winning lineup tonight? It's not super likely, but it's possible. AB or Evans or Fournette. Well, if price doesn't matter, for me, Evans of those 3. Captain, Godwin, Flex, Kupp, Brown, Henderson, Rojo, Reynolds. Thoughts? Yeah, so you're getting a little bit contrarian. You're playing, is that no quarterbacks? You're Captain, Godwin, Flex, Kupp, Brown, Henderson, Rojo, and Reynolds. It's a contrarian build. Definitely not a safe build. But like I said, we've seen some crazy lineups win these tournaments, right? Is Gronk a play tonight? Definitely in play. He's 6.2K. I think he goes a little bit overlooked tonight. He will play a majority of the game. He's a guy that's getting 5 to 6 targets a game and someone that can look in the red zone. So yeah, definitely in play. Who are you going with at Captain DK? I'm going Chris Godwin tonight. How's this lineup? Kupp, Brady, Fournette, Gronk, Higbee, and Reynolds. I have no issue with that at all. I might play that in cash. Let's see. What do you think of Everett? I like Everett a little bit more for Higbee. I think both are very similar plays, and when you get the $2,000 savings for Everett, I'll just take the discount. So I'm not saying Higbee's out of play, but I do prefer Everett for the price. Kind of the same thing with the Rams running backs, right? If it's going to be a pretty even split, I'll just take the cheapest of the bunch. Henderson and Malcolm Brown, for me, it's Brown just because he's got more involved in the passing game than Henderson has. And Henderson's still a couple $100 more expensive too. Yeah, so for me, it's Malcolm Brown. What's up, Matthew? What do you think about playing both QBs? That's what I'm doing. I think that's a safe approach just to play both quarterbacks tonight. Everett or Akers. Now that's a tricky one. Those are two, I think, of the better values. That's tough. I will go Everett, but that's super close. Super close. Everett and Akers are, I think, two of the better value plays in the slate. Do you play your only lineup in different contests? I have 4 contests tonight with the same lineup. Should I mix it up a bit? Do you play your only lineup in different contests? I do. I'll usually enter the big tourney, whether the $10 or $15 tourney, $1 million to first, and then I'll usually enter a sometimes a couple or sometimes only one other tournament, depending how I feel. If I want to go safe, I'll probably go with a single entry tournament. If I'm feeling risky, I'll throw it in a big tournament for maybe $30 or $50, something like that. That's usually, I don't play a ton of these showdown slates. Do you like Captain, Godwin, Flex, Brady, Goff, Woods, Fournette, and Suck Up? Yep, I like that a good amount. For cash, Captain, Goff, Brady, Evans, Reynolds, Suck Up, and Fournette. So you got Evans, you're going Reynolds in mid-range, Suck Up, and Fournette. Yep, I think that's fine. I think that's fine for cash games. Again, I would go both quarterbacks and one of the quarterbacks and captains. You're going Goff. I'm fine with that. One GPP lineup, Captain, Reynolds, Brady, Godwin, Woods, Antonio Brown, and Suckup. Yeah, Reynolds, I think just for his price, Reynolds is going to go a little bit overlooked because I think people are going to want to spend a little bit extra to get to either Cup or Woods. So yeah, I think that's a pretty nice GPP lineup. I don't think a ton of people will play Reynolds in the captain, but he has had he's been good last 3 games, right? 8, 9, and 10 targets. So yeah, I think that's a really solid lineup. Goodwin or Godwin or Cup at captain. Yeah, you're pulling strings there. Like those are my 2 favorite wide receivers on the slate. So if you want to follow my lead, I'm going Godwin the captain. What do you think about Scotty Miller? Hard to trust. Honestly, he did only play I think it was 11% of the snaps that last game. I mean, where is Tampa Bay? Miller 11%. Watson played 5%. Tyler Johnson 9%. So can he get there on 9 to 10 snaps? He could, but you can't really go there with confidence. You probably need an injury or something there. DK, how's this luck for GPP? Captain Brady, Goff, Everett, Godwin, Woods, and Fournette. I like that. AB is going to blow up soon. Yeah, I mean, I think AB is definitely in play. I think I do slightly prefer Godwin and Evans, just because they're going to be out there a little bit more. But AB had a nice week last week. He, had 7 or 8 catches, right? Let's go to Antonio Brown. Yeah, he had 7 catches and 8 targets. He still has upside. He's still a good wide receiver in this league. So I don't have an issue if you feel good with Antonio Brown. Godwin, a captain, Brady, Goff, Fournette, Brown, Gronk. What do you think? I like that. Yeah, I like that a good amount. Cup, Goff, Brady, Fournette, Suckup, and Reynolds. Good with me. DK, you playing Fournette? I am playing Fournette. I think he just for his price does look like a pretty decent value option. I don't think he's a must play, but yeah, I'm going there. Right, there's not a ton of value on the slate. Where's Fournette? He's at 4-4. Sure, he didn't do great last game, but previous 2 games, he was the guy that played a majority of the game. And he's their pass-catching running back. I think that raises his floor a little bit. It's just a price point thing with Fournette. So, yeah, I'm playing him. GPP, by the way, yeah, I like that for GPPs. Yep. Fournette captain. Okay, so you're getting a little bit risky. Fournette captain, Goff, Brady, Godwin, Cup, Suckup. Or Cup captain, Brady, Goff, Godwin, Fournette, Everett, Cash. Cash games, I think it's a Cup at captain one. Yeah, so Cup, Brady, Goff, Godwin, Fournette, Everett. That's what I would do in cash games, I think. Who you said? Higbee or Everett? So both are pretty similar plays. Higbee might play a little bit more, but for me, I will take the discount on Everett. Again, that's just a price point thing. Not saying Higbee's out of play. I just like the price a little bit better on Gerald Everett. Thank you, bro. Good luck tonight. Of course, man. Good luck to you as well. Do you ever play the Monday, Thursday? I don't play those ones. I know some people that do, but yeah, I don't. Maybe I will in the future, but yeah, I kind of just focus on the main slates and the showdown slates. With Rams running backs, again, the Rams running backs are tough for this slate, right? It's going to be probably a pretty even 3-way split, and again, I rank them Akers, then Brown, then Henderson. The reason I do Akers is the cheapest. The reason I have Brown second because he's the guy that they've shown is their best pass-catching running back, and then Henderson last. But all 3 should get some touches. DK, you're the man. Hey, appreciate it, man. Thanks, man. So ready for the Thanksgiving slate. Yeah, Thanksgiving slate it should be a pretty good one. We did get news. I have a video up there already for the Thanksgiving slate, but we got the news right after I made the video that both J.K. Dobbins and Mark Ingram are out. So mention in the comment section if you guys watch the video that Gus Edwards is obviously a pretty solid value, and they'll probably work in Justice Hill a bit as far as the Ravens running backs on Thanksgiving. Bro, are the Wolverines this season? Yeah, Michigan's been tough. They did pull out a win last Saturday, so that's good. Good luck to all your boys, though. Thanks, man. If McVay will willing to put this game in Goff's hands, we'll see. My lineup tonight: Captain Godwin, Brady, Goff, Cup, Everett, and Fournette. Yeah, that is my lineup as well. So we'll see how it goes. Hopefully positive. Godwin, Brady, Evans, Josh Reynolds, Gronk, and Fournette. Perfectly fine with me. Thanks. Godwin, Akers, Brown, Reynolds, Woods, and Brady. I have no issue with these lineups, guys. They look pretty good. A little off topic, but Swift has to be one of the best running back plays if he's healthy, right? Yes. Kind of talked about that too. If Swift is healthy, he's my favorite running back on the Thanksgiving slate. There's not a ton of amazing running back plays on Thanksgiving. If Swift's out, then obviously we can look to Peterson and Kerryon Johnson. But yeah, Swift plays. I think he is the top running back play of the Thanksgiving slate. Hit that like button. Yeah, guys, again, if you enjoy the content, the easiest way to support me is just to hit that like button. Hit it on the way out. I would appreciate it. Almost 40 likes now. Good luck, everyone. All right, so we will go over some ownership, guys. If you want to stay on another minute or two once it loads in, usually takes, again, a minute or so, and then we can go watch the game. So I'll go over ownership in the Millie Maker. Good luck. Yeah, good luck to you guys. Again, I appreciate everyone coming to check out the live stream. I don't think we hit 200 concurrent viewers in this one, maybe like 150 or so, but I appreciate you guys all coming to check out the live stream and continuing to support me. It is greatly, greatly appreciated, guys. Good content. Thanks, man. I appreciate it. Yeah, so let's see once it loads in. It will take a sec here. Let's see. I wonder if they posted any of the showdown slates for Thursday yet. Let's see. It doesn't look like they have yet. But yeah, guys, if you are interested in Thanksgiving slate as well as the main slate early look for week 12, I do have both those videos up on my channel already. All right, let's go over some ownership. We can take a look at my lineup. I want Godwin in the captain. He's 44% owned. Tom Brady, 72%. Goff at 54%. Kupp at 48%. Fournette at 31%. Everett at 12%. That's the lineup I went with. I'll take a look at some other people's lineups to see what ownership is. Rams defense, 10% owned. Buccaneers defense, 15%. Fair, right? They're at cheap enough prices you could go to either defense. Woods at 41%. So Woods 41, Kupp 48. Pretty similar, right? Mike Evans at 28%. So looks like people actually want Godwin over Evans. About double the ownership. I'm a little bit surprised that with Godwin over Evans. Antonio Brown coming at 38%. So Godwin is the most popular Tampa Bay receiver, then Antonio Brown, then Mike Evans. Suckup coming in at 19% ownership. 13% Malcolm Brown is my sleeper today. Yeah, I mean, I think he's a decent play, right? He's been the guy most involved in the passing down work. Gronkowski, 32%. Ronald Jones, 42%. Okay, I get it, right? He had a big game last game. We'll see how it goes. But yeah, that's kind of it for the ownership. Nothing super surprising here. Yeah, Malcolm Brown, 12%. So, all right, guys, I'm going to get out of here. I'm going to go watch the game. Good luck tonight. And again, check out the Thanksgiving slate in the early look video if you guys are interested in that. So good luck, and I will see you guys all later.